I applied for my employment permit myself. So I got this very exciting question. It says, how did you apply for your employment permit? And I dug deep into this question to find out that this particular question required my own experience. So why not turn it to a video, okay? Hey you, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video series, I'll be answering frequently asked questions I get on study, work, and living in Ireland. And this will be based on my experience. I am hoping that this story time or my experience would give someone an insight into how to go about applying for your own. Now, fun fact, I applied for my employment permit myself. I applied for my employment permit myself, surprising to many, not surprising to some. So, how did it go? I'll start from the beginning, okay? So, I graduated from my college. I worked for 2 years after that on the Stamp 1G visa. And then the big question mark that has been following me right from when I had the Stamp 2 visa was getting an employment permit to have a Stamp 1, okay? So, right from when I was on the Stamp 1G, I was researching various things, doing just checking everywhere, every job, researching every news that I could get on how to do this particular permit process. And just in the nick of time, I'm talking about November. Hey, goodness. So let me take you down the timeline, okay? So from like November, December 2022 up to the next year, 2023, and then 2024. So I spent 2 years on the Stamp 1G visa. So 2022 and 2024 were my student 1G, the Stamp 1G visa that I was going to be staying on. And during that time, I was searching various applications, various job roles that suited my academic line and just researching a lot. I gathered knowledge during that period about this process. I'm telling you. So I did all of that, and I wasn't able to succeed in getting an employment permit in my first year on the Stamp 1G. I also wasn't as successful for most parts of my second Stamp 1G visa. So that meant that I needed to apply for some kind of like extension, because what happened was that in 2024, when I was rounding up with my Stamp 1G, it was supposed to expire in December of 2024. I had gotten an organization that would be able to support me in putting in an application. And this one I got was in the month of October. And when I did my timeline, I knew that I would not be able to get the Stamp 1 in time, and maybe my card would have expired by then. So I had to then apply for some kind of permission to allow me time to get my application in. Okay. So how I even got to this particular organization, oh man, is grace of God. So a lot of companies were open to hiring me, okay, but they were not open to hiring someone with my stamp. So like Stamp 1G, they did not want to put in that application for a Stamp 1. I don't know why, and I'm sure this is what a lot of students are facing at the moment. It's kind of like you have this particular opportunity, but the organization in question is not going to allow you to succeed in putting in an application that you need for it, and they need you. You understand? So this was my own predicament. So it's kind of like, I know organizations, I know that they are hiring, I know for a fact that I will be accepted, but they do not wish to put in that the first Stamp 1 application for an employment permit. Okay, so what did I do at this point? When it was already reaching August, September, I was very frustrated, I was having headache, I was tired, I was just thinking about life, I was doing a lot. Oh man. I was doing a lot. I was just thinking, I was like, okay, you know what, let me just start packing and start skedaddling back home. So slowly I was subconsciously gathering my things to like go back home to kind of like re-strategize. I was just exploring a lot of different other options, okay? Different other countries I could try, different other opportunities I could try. I was just open to a lot of things, okay? While still as well putting in applications for opportunities that I saw here in Ireland. So I did that, and then in October I got an interview of offer. Okay, nah, man, I'm telling you, hold God tight, oh, hold God tight. I know what God did for me. I'm telling you, I was blasting gospel music. I was blasting gospel music. I was praying. I was doing everything. I was just like, oh Lord, please, And I will not say I'm like the best Christian per se, but I hold God to high standard. But so all of that, and then in October I got an interview offer like I've been getting the months prior, and I attended the interview, and this particular interview took a different twist. So I attended the interview, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, if these people are not going to be able to support me with my application, I'm not even going to go ahead with the interview at all. So what I did was that when the interview started, before they even say Jack Crumbies, I started pitching what I actually needed from them. Okay. The previous interviews that I had, how it usually goes is that I'll sit on the panel, they'll ask me questions, I'll be answering the questions and all of that, and then it comes to they hit me with the, oh, do you have any questions for us? And then I'm like, yes, I actually do have a question for you. Would you be able to do a stamp one application? Will you be able to apply for an employment permit so that I can get a stamp one application to work for your company? And then it's like cricket silence, like so it's like they will not, and then the response is usually, oh, they will not be able to, oh, I'll get back to you, and then they send the email like, oh, sorry, you're not successful. I know as well, I know for a fact that I was successful. I know it's just the employment permit that was making it unsuccessful, but that's by the way. So that was the pattern. So this particular one, I said no, I'm going to do the reverse. So I started the interview with, yes, before we go on with the interview, I just wanted to ask so that I don't waste anybody's time, just my time and yours. I just wanted to clarify and wanted to ask if it would be possible that you'll be able to do an employment permit application for me. And then thankfully, God so being kind, someone on the panel said that he knew about the process from his previous workplace, that he knew about the process, and of course will be able to speak to who can assist with the party. I was like, okay, no problem. This is something that I would need. And then he agreed, and he was like, yeah, because I've noticed that we lose a lot of good meaning staff and employers because of this particular permit. So I think it's something that we could possibly explore and all of that if we could just continue with the interview. And I was like, but I was just like, it's still not set in stone. So I did the interview. I answered very well, and then I was successful with the interview. They said, of course, they are willing to hire me, but then I got a response back from one of the one of the hiring managers. She was like, oh, they don't think they'll be able to support me with the application anymore. They said it's nothing to do with my responses in the interview, that the interview is fine, it's just the employment permit. They are not sure if they'll be able to do that. I was like, damn it, because I felt like I was this close, yeah. So I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I was already down about it, and then I was just like, you know what, I now started applying to other places, like applying pressure to other companies, okay, like putting in my applications. And then was it not a day after that particular email, or it was sent in the morning, and by afternoon time or so I got a response. I think it was a day, I don't know, but I got a response here within a short period of time. I think it was that same day. And then they said, oh, Cynthia, good news, we've been able to speak to the directors, and then they are open to exploring the possibility of doing an employment permit. I was like, yes, no problem. And then they gave me the clause. They were like, okay, it is going to be on the account that I would be the one to sort out everything. Like sorting out everything would be like, knowing about the application and all of that. You understand? Which is what I pitched in my interview. I asked them, okay, would you be able to do an employment permit for me? And all of that. But one of the other things that I also mentioned was that I know the process. I understand everything about the process. I can help with putting in an application if it is going to be something that is confusing to do. Do you get? Because I already understood the process. Okay. So she was like, oh, they are willing to explore the employment permit and apply for me if I'm going to, like I said initially, like do due diligence to the process. Okay. So I was like, yes, no problem. Like yeah, no problem. I'll just put you step by step. So what I then got to do was give them a breakdown of the steps to follow. Okay. So what are the steps now? Which is what some of you that are watching this video, I don't know, maybe looking to know or have an insight of. The employment permit, yeah, you have to do what is called a labor market needs test. Okay. Which is just a fancy word to say the job that you're applying for is going to be posted on Jobs Ireland website, and it's going to be there for 28 days unedited, and then the particular link of the job posted, there's a number at the back. That number is what is going to be used in your employment permit application to verify that yes, your job application, the job that you're applying for, the job posting has actually been posted publicly. Okay, so I told them I have to do a labor market needs test. These are the steps that you have to follow and all of that. So they supported me with that. They posted the jobs on the platform. They left it on for 28 days. I had the link. I had all of that. The rule then was that either yourself or your employer could apply for an employment permit. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I applied for my employment permit. Obviously, hello. Obviously, when they say, because the rule then was that, oh, either yourself or your employer should apply for the employment permit. And then they said, oh, if you have any third party person, of course, that would be like if you have like an agent, a lawyer, or something like that that could help you with the employment permit. So I opted to do it by myself, like I have done for every other thing, my college application, my everything, myself. Okay, so I explored the opportunity to apply for my employment permit myself. So what that meant was that all the documents that was required from my for my employer, I had to then upload that in the section of my employer. What I did was to ask them for, with permission, of course, of the for the documents needed and all of that. Put all of that in my application to submit the application. Okay, and then of course also ask for my contract of employment. Also asked for their signature on the employment permit documents that would be required. So basically, this is something now. The system now that is in place is that you and your employer have to do it, which I think that to some extent it was me and my employer doing a joint application. Now the system has changed, and it's just so boggling. It's just amazing how in the period of a short while things can change. That's why I always tell people, always avail of an opportunity that you're seeing at present, because policies can change, things can change at any time. So I'm very happy that I was able to explore that, because now it's a bit different, because you and the employer have to do a joint application where the employer will have to put in an application first, like start the application, and then you finish it off, sign, and then send off. Okay. So, but as at the time that when people were doing it by this, or when it was permitted that either you or the employer can submit the application, what I just did was to gather all the necessary documents. I gathered my own documents, also asked my employer that these are the documents that the employment permits need of you. And then they gave me that, and then I uploaded that in their stead. Okay. So I uploaded all of that. And then, of course, they've already done, I've waited the time for the labor market needs test for 28 days. So I already had the link. The link comes with the numbers, some set numbers at the back. So I had the numbers of that. I put it in my application, filled the form appropriately, put all my credentials, all my certificates, and every other thing. It's quite simple, actually. I put everything that is required of the employer, and then boom, I submitted and then paid the 1,000 euros. Yes, 1,000 euros is needed for you to submit your employment permit application. So I thankfully have had that saved for backup, because I knew those 2 years was enough for me to prepare for what is ahead. So I had that saved, paid the 1,000 euros, and then submitted. At this point, that was how I submitted my employment permit, anyways, you know. So at this point, there was a waiting period. You understand? In the waiting period, I had to inform the Department of Justice of my stand, like I'm waiting at this point and all of that. So I put in the application when? Was it not December? Early December. Yeah. December, the first week of December also, because I knew that their Christmas, Irish people don't joke with their Christmas celebration. So I wanted to submit it in time, or on time. So I submitted that. Second to the last week of January, or the last week in January, I got the permit that, oh, you have been successful with your employment permit application, and you can now proceed to applying for a stamp one, which now meant that I take that to now apply for my IRP card. Man, oh man, I mean, it was a whole, and this was something that I have been trying for 2 full years to get, okay? And then just in the nick of time, I don't know, this is also what you mentioned, because I had reached out to the Department of Justice on where I was, and then they had given me a kind of stay for a year, just to allow for my application to kick in. And I got the good news letter from the Department of Justice saying that, okay, this is it, these are the terms and the conditions and all of that. I got that a week prior to, God. So I got that, no, not a week. I got that like 2 days before I got my employment permit. So I had to now forgo that. You understand me? I had to forgo the letter that I got, because I now had my employment permit that I can use to apply for my IRP. So I had two basically two rights to stay in Ireland, something like that, if you want to call it that. So I had two of that, and I had to forgo one for the other. So yeah, and that was how I applied for my employment permit. Okay, so I think that is it, really. And I think I would like to say this is some kind of like miracle. I have another video that I want to title Miracle in My Study Abroad Process. But I think this one was of great miracle, you know. And if anyone is wondering about, like, oh, maybe just doing their own math in their own little corner, and wondering about the timelines. So basically, my card was due to expire in like December, and I already reached out to the Department of Justice about my application in like October or so, and then their response only came in like January. And with the card expiring, the rule says that if you have your application in, you have like 6 weeks to wait the time in Ireland, something like that. So I waited. I used that 6 weeks grace, and that got me into January. Okay, so I was not, everything was still in legal due process, and I was here in Ireland in January on the 6 weeks timeline. And within the 6 weeks timeline was when I got a response from my employment permit, as well as the letter from the Department of Justice saying that yes, I could stay for X amount of time to allow for my employment permit application to kick in. So that is basically how I applied for my employment permit. So in another video, I will do like maybe showing the website, or like how to navigate. It's going to depend on the questions that I get. Okay, so if people are really finding it stuck on like how to go about navigating the website, then maybe I will do a video about that, showing a step-by-step tutorial. But for now, this is it. Okay, so in long and short summary, the takeaway is that Now you cannot apply for your employment permit yourself alone, okay? It's going to be a joint application. They have now moved it to an online system, okay? Before it was also online, but now it's now strictly online with an online account, okay? So now it is that your employer is going to start the application, and then you would feel the application will go to your, or would kind of like transfer to your page on your employment permit application page, and then you go into that application that they have started, finish the application, and submit with all your credentials, all your uploads, your signature, and all of that. Whoever that has to pay, if it is your employer that has to pay, then they pay. If it is you that have to pay, then you pay. Okay, you pay and then you wait the time, and then there's the employment permit statistics that, sorry, not, it's not statistics, sorry, there's the employment permit processing time that will tell you how long the application is going to take, which should be around 6 to 12 weeks, they usually say. Yeah. So that comes the end of my video. I hope this, you found this educational enough. I hope you found this entertaining as well, because it is my own personal story. Yeah, I hope to see you in another video, and that wraps it up. Okay, my name is Cynthia, also known as Cyrilna, and I'll see you real soon. Ciao.